Welcome back to Market Day Report. I'm Tony St. James. We get things started this morning with a bit of a rally going on in the overnight session. Let's just jump into the corn market. And in the overnight trade, December at 408, trading 6 1/4 cents higher. The March up 6, July up 5 1/4 in this rally for the overnight session. Soybeans, we're watching the same thing here. Double-digit gains. November at 10.26 1/4, up 14 1/4, 12 to 14 1/2 higher on all the deferreds. Now to the wheat market. Look at that, double-digit gains in Chicago. December 5.79 1/4, that's up 10 3/4. July 6.14 1/4, 10 1/2 higher. What about hard red winter wheat? Well, 12 higher on the front month, 5.76. New crop 12 1/4 higher. That July at 6.02 1/2. Is it spilling over to Minneapolis? You bet. Single digits higher with December up 7 3/4, 6.15 3/4, and doesn't stop there. It even bounces over to New York, where cotton futures have rallied up 20 points, 73.72. So why the rally this morning? Brian Hoops, President, Midwest Market Solutions. Brian, can you help us answer it?
Good morning, Tony. Yeah, let's talk about these markets. I hope you had a good weekend, first of all. You know, there was a pretty active harvest for a lot of the Midwest, and this week's forecast looks to be very active across most of the upper Midwest. I would suspect corn is going to come out very rapidly this week, and then soybeans after that. We're very early in the soybean harvest, but we're starting to hear more talk from people who've taken beans out that the big yields they thought would be there are not necessarily there as expected. The seed size is a little bit smaller than what they had hoped for. Just did not rain enough in August and September to really fill out those pods. And so the yields are starting to come in a little bit disappointing. Corn yields, I think, are maybe above expectations. And then South America, now we were forecast to receive rains through most of Brazil, and central and southern regions received really good rains. It's that northern area where they're going to try and start planting, missed out on a lot of rains, and it seemed like the market is gaining a lot of momentum because of that miss in the forecast and the dry weather in South America. All that is kind of adding up to push the soybeans higher. In fact, we were the highest overnight, I think, since September the 6th in soybeans, a pretty big bounce off of the lows that we scored on Friday morning. So yeah, beans upside leader, pulling corn, pulling wheat along with it to the upside. Another private export sale announcement this morning, 165,000 metric tons. That was sold to an unknown destination. So hopefully we can continue to build off of this momentum in here and push the upside, although there's a lot of harvest to go through yet.
You know, Brian, what if the U.S. could just get back to getting 10% of China's business? Would that make a major dent?
It would make a huge dent. You know, some of those reports came out on Friday about Chinese demand and how it's shifted to Brazil. During the month of August, they imported a record amount of soybeans. The problem was the vast majority of over 82% was from Brazil, and the U.S. only exported about 2% of soybeans to China that month. Now, for the entire year, you can see that discrepancy again. China is a big buyer of soybeans throughout the first 8 months of 2024, but very little of that is coming from the United States. Now, in September, China's been a much better buyer of U.S. products, and they do that as we go into the South American planting season and growing season because, one, prices are usually cheaper in the U.S. during September and October, and then also it's kind of a hedge against weather issues, which we're starting to have in Brazil.
Okay, Brian, hang on. We're going to take a break, come back, talk cattle on feed report. Market Day Report continues in a moment. Welcome back. It's Market Day Report. Let's look at how markets traded on Friday. In front of that cattle on feed report, live cattle futures were higher, up 2.5 on the October at 182.47. December 183.20 was 207 higher. And how about for the feeders? 45 lower on the September, 244.82. October up 12, 243.90, and even a 65-cent gain on the January contract, 236.77 to roll into 2025. And speaking of 2025, you have to go to those contracts to find higher trade for hogs. Front month October off 2 pennies, 82.22. This in front of the quarterly hogs and pigs report coming out on Thursday, and the December 74.22, down 7. Let's break down cattle on feed. Brian Hoops, Midwest Market Solutions. Brian, what'd you see?
Yeah, the report came in very, very close to trade expectations. Hardly any changes at all, or any revisions on feed supplies, right in very close to the numbers, a little over last year's numbers, a little over 100% of that. The placement numbers came in right near trade guesses again, below 100%. Marketing's around that 97%. So again, no surprises whatsoever, I thought, out of this report. Friday's action, in fact, all last week, we were very strong in the cattle futures, feeder cattle, big gains to end the week. And I think that was an indication of optimism for this report, and as well as ideas that the cash trade would be stronger. We did see $2 to $3 better cash trade last week. So good movement in the cash, good movement in the futures. The cutout values really did not keep up with the cash markets, and the fact that the cutout values could not increase has left packer margins now about $20 in the red. So that's one negative we're going to have to overcome this week. Either we have to rebuild those cutout values and push them higher, or we're going to see cash struggle this week. And so it's probably going to be hard to push the cutouts a lot higher right now. Cash, I think, could be steady this week. Futures probably get a little bit of a bounce off of the cattle on feed numbers this morning, and then we look to chop around. But we did see a lot of bull spreading type trade to end the week with October gain against the other months.
Okay, Brian. Hey, thanks for joining us today. Come back and see us. What is it tomorrow? Oh, no, it's Wednesday. Today's Monday, right? We'll see you back here on Wednesday. Okay, Brian Hoops joining us this morning, and that's how we start the week.
All right, yeah, got the table set.